You think your life fell apart because you gained the weight, lost control, and got too far gone. But the weight was never the deepest problem. It was the evidence. The real problem was that you stopped fighting for yourself. You think rock bottom means you're broken. But sometimes rock bottom is the first honest place you've stood in years, because at least there, the lies stop working. If you need reminders like this, real reminders, not soft excuses, subscribe now, because you do not need more noise. You need truth in your ear until your standards rise higher than your feelings. You need something that cuts through the fantasy and calls you back to yourself again and again until discipline stops feeling cruel and starts feeling like self-respect. Let's get something straight right now. You do not lose 140 pounds and rebuild your life because you finally found the perfect diet, the perfect workout split, the perfect supplement stack, or the perfect burst of motivation on a random Monday morning. That's the surface story. That's what people clap for because it's easy to understand. Numbers, photos, progress shots, stage tan, heels, bikini, spotlight. But here's what it really means. You stopped negotiating with the part of you that was destroying your future. You stopped treating self-betrayal like self-expression. You stopped calling chaos who I am. Isachi, Isapinayer. You stopped asking your pain for permission to change. That is the part most people do not want to hear. They want transformation without confrontation. They want results without identity change. They want the body without the boundaries, the confidence without the character, the stage without the years nobody saw. They want to be carried. They want to be picked. They want to be rescued by motivation, rescued by love, rescued by a trainer, rescued by a new relationship, rescued by a dramatic wake-up call. But nobody is coming to install self-respect into your nervous system. Nobody is coming to wake up at 5 a.m. inside your body. Nobody is coming to say no to the food you use to sedate yourself. No to the habits that keep you small. No to the excuses that make you feel better today and hate yourself tomorrow. That's called abandonment, self-abandonment. And if you're honest, you know exactly what that feels like. It feels like promising you'll start tomorrow, then spending tonight proving you won't. It feels like eating when you're not hungry because silence makes you anxious. It feels like hiding from mirrors. It feels like saying, this is just a hard season, while that season turns into years. It feels like laughing it off in public and collapsing in private. It feels like telling everyone you're fine, while your confidence is bleeding out in slow motion. It feels like your standards have left the building, and now your life is being run by cravings, impulses, avoidance, and emotional weather. And the brutal part, it doesn't happen all at once. It happens a little at a time. One compromise, one skipped promise, one numbing ritual, one more night of I deserve this, one that acting not one now, one more morning of I'll be better later, and see you're popping your at an band. You stop taking yourself seriously. You stop trusting your own word. You stop dressing like you matter. You stop moving like your body is worth saving. You stop believing your future self is real. You stop. You stop. You stop. Then one day, you look around and realize your entire life has been shaped by what you kept avoiding. People love to say the body keeps score. Fine, but say it all the way. Your routines keep score. Your language keeps score. Your standards keep score. Your private decisions keep score. The body you live in is not just a result of appetite. It is a record of whether you showed up or disappeared, a record of whether you chose discomfort on purpose or let discomfort choose you, a record of whether you built yourself through friction or buried yourself under relief. And no, this is not about hating yourself thin. That's another lie. Self-hatred can make you start, but it cannot make you stay. Shame can light a match. It cannot build a life. If disgust alone worked, you would already be transformed. You've had disgust. You had indignation. You've had tears. You've had panic. You've had never again speeches in bathrooms and parked cars and dark bedrooms. And still, you went back. Why? Because the root cause was never just laziness. It was disconnection. You were disconnected from your body, so you treated it like a storage unit for stress. You were disconnected from your emotions, so you ate instead of feeling. You were disconnected from your standards, so you called bare minimum effort progress. You were disconnected from your future, so consequences felt abstract. You were disconnected from your own worth, so punishment felt normal and care felt unfamiliar. That's why it happens. Not because you're uniquely weak, not because you're cursed, not because your story is over. It happens because an ungoverned mind will always chase immediate relief. It happens because pain seeks anesthesia. It happens because when you do not consciously build structure, your impulses become your structure. That is not freedom. That is drift. That is being dragged by appetite and calling it choice. And drift is expensive. It costs energy. It costs dignity. It costs intimacy because it is hard to be fully seen when you are not even fully honest with yourself. It costs opportunities because the version of you with no standards misses the doors the disciplined version would walk through. It costs your posture, your sleep, your hormones, your confidence, your sex drive, your focus, your willingness to be photographed, your willingness to flirt with life at all. It costs years, not days. Years. Because the real tragedy is never just the size of your body. The real tragedy is the size of the life you stop allowing yourself to live while you wait to become someone else. You wait to wear the clothes. You wait to go to the beach. You wait to date. You wait to post the picture. You wait to speak up. You wait to travel. You wait to believe you matter. You wait and wait and wait, and the waiting becomes your identity. Then one day something cracks. Maybe it was a photo. Maybe it was a diagnosis. Maybe it was the stairs. Maybe it was the seatbelt. Maybe it was your own reflection after months of avoiding it. Maybe it was a breakup that exposed how much of your life had been built around begging for crumbs. Maybe it was waking up and realizing you were living in a body and a life that looked nothing like the one your younger self believed you would protect. And maybe this is the one nobody talks about. Maybe nothing dramatic happened at all. Maybe you were just tired. Tired in the marrow. Tired of hearing yourself make promises you didn't believe. Tired of the fake pep talks. Tired of pretending that being kind to yourself meant never requiring anything from yourself. Tired of trying to turn comfort into a personality. Tired of carrying around proof that you had been leaving yourself behind. That kind of tired is holy if you use it right, because that is the moment the story can turn, not when you become emotional. When you become done, truly done. Done romanticizing your wounds. Done weaponizing your past against your future. Done acting like your coping mechanisms are sacred because they kept you alive once. Listen carefully. What saved you in one season can destroy you in the next if you refuse to outgrow it. Overeating may have soothed you. Hiding may have protected you. Numbing may have gotten you through. Fine. Respect the role it played. Then bury it. Gratitude does not require lifelong obedience. This is the reframe. Losing 140 pounds is not mainly about shrinking. It is about ending a civil war inside yourself. It is about becoming congruent. Your values and your behavior start matching. Your mouth and your calendar start matching. Your goals and your evenings start matching. You become a person whose life makes sense. That is powerful. Not because it looks good on stage, but because peace enters the system when contradiction leaves it. And yes, the bikini stage matters. Not because a trophy makes you worthy. Not because applause heals childhood wounds. Not because being lean makes you better than anyone. It matters because it is a symbol. A symbol that the person who once hid became willing to be seen. The person who once lived in avoidance became someone who could stand under lights with nothing to hide from herself. Do you understand the gravity of that? To go from hiding your body in the dark to presenting it in public after years of discipline is not vanity. It is evidence. Evidence that you can rebuild from the inside out. But first, you have to stop misunderstanding what confidence is. Confidence is not hype. Confidence is not loudness. Confidence is not posting declarations online and then disappearing when life gets hard. Confidence is evidence-based self-trust. It is the calm that comes from knowing you can depend on yourself in private. That's why real confidence looks grounded. It does not beg. It does not chase. It does not overshare. It does not need to convince everybody. It carries itself differently because it has receipts. It has mornings. It has reps. It has meals prepared when nobody was looking. It has tears swallowed and standards held anyway. It has lonely nights where old habits came calling and got ignored. That's why the rebuilt person feels different. The energy changes, the eyes change, the walk changes, the voice changes, because self-respect has entered the room. Picture the person who embodies the solution, not the person performing discipline for attention, not the person broadcasting every meal, every workout, every ounce lost, so strangers can temporarily replace inner emptiness with external validation. No. Picture the person who is steady, grounded, clear. When they say they're done living beneath their standards, you believe them. Not because they sound intense, bakit ka masing wenda na intense, but because their life has edges now. They have boundaries. They do not argue with every craving like it deserves a trial. They do not let loneliness turn into self-destruction. They do not let stress become a hall pass. They do not call chaos passion. They do not call indulgence healing. They can sit in discomfort without turning it into drama. They can hear an urge and not obey it. They can feel emotion without becoming machinery for that emotion. They are not cold. They are governed. That is power. The rebuilt person eats with intention, not panic. Moves with purpose, not punishment. Speaks plainly. Looks people in the eye. Keeps promises small enough to keep and serious enough to matter. Does not need an emergency to behave like their life counts. Does not wait for applause to stay aligned. Does not hand the steering wheel to mood swings. They know who they are when nobody claps, when nobody texts back, when nobody notices, when nobody says they're doing great. That's the person who can build a body, a business, a relationship, a future. Why? Because the foundation is not motivation, it is identity. So let's get practical, because inspiration without instruction is just emotional entertainment. Do this. Tell the truth about where you are, not the edited version, not the I'm trying version. The real version, your habits, your numbers, your triggers, your hiding places, your lies. Name them clearly, because what remains vague remains powerful. What you refuse to define, you cannot defeat. Do this. Pick non-negotiables so simple, your excuses look stupid standing next to them. Daily movement, protein first, water first, sleep on purpose, track honestly, walk after meals. Strength train even when you feel average, maybe especially when you feel average. Build a floor, not a fantasy. You do not need a perfect week. You need a standard that survives a bad Tuesday. Do this. Remove friction from good choices and add friction to destructive ones. Meal prep before hunger talks. Lay out your training clothes the night before. Delete the food delivery apps if they are your dealer in digital form. Stop keeping your relapse within arm's reach and then acting surprised when you relapse. Environment matters. Proximity matters. Access matters. Willpower is real, but smart people do not make it fight alone. Do this. Learn your pattern. Not your excuse, your pattern. What time do you slip? After what emotion? After what conversation? After what disappointment? After what boredom? You do not have random bad days. No, I know, except I know what you have loops. That's called conditioning. Break the cue, break the chain. If nighttime is your collapse window, then nighttime needs a new script. Walk, journal, call someone, brush your teeth early, go to bed, shut the door before the old version of you clocks in for her shift. Stop this. Stop making your feelings the CEO. Feelings are real. They are not sovereign. I don't feel like it is not insight. It is resistance wearing a name tag. I've had a stressful day does not mean destroy your momentum. I deserve a treat is often just grief asking for sugar. Learn to translate your impulses. Learn to hear what they are really saying. Usually it is not hunger. It is fatigue. It is sadness. It is anger. It is emptiness. Fine. Then answer the real need. Do not keep pouring food into emotional holes and then blaming your body for the leak. Stop this. Stop speaking about yourself like a defeated person. Words matter because identity listens. If you constantly say, I'm just like this, I always mess up, I have no discipline, your nervous system starts building a home around that script. Speak accurately, not dramatically. I have trained weak patterns. Good. Patterns can be retrained. I have broken trust with myself. Good. Trust can be rebuilt. I am in a fight for my life and I am learning to win. Good. That creates movement. Redirect this. When shame shows up, do not binge. Clean something. Walk. lift, right, pray, sit still. Breathe through the urge. Let the wave pass without baptizing it as identity. When loneliness shows up, do not seduce yourself back into sabotage just because comfort is available. Reach outward or go inward with honesty, but do not go downward with indulgence. When boredom shows up, build, read, stretch, practice, study, prepare. A lot of self-destruction is just unused life force with nowhere to go. And let me tell you something most people learn too late. The scale is not the only thing that drops when you change. The drama drops. The desperation drops. The need for approval drops. The tolerance for nonsense drops. Because when you learn to govern yourself physically, it starts bleeding into everything else. You leave bad relationships faster. You stop arguing with people committed to misunderstanding you. You stop explaining your standards to those who benefit from you having none. You stop begging to be chosen because you are finally choosing yourself in ways that cost effort, not just words. This is where masculine self-respect, real masculine energy, not internet costume nonsense, actually matters, whether you are a man or a woman. It is the energy of structure, of leadership, of grounded direction, of deciding that your impulses do not outrank your mission. It is the refusal to collapse every time reality disappoints you. It is the ability to hold a line, to say no and mean it, to endure temporary discomfort without turning it into personal tragedy, to protect what matters. And if you're rebuilding your life, you need that energy. Not to become hard in a dead way, but to become solid in a living way. Soft heart, strong frame, deep feeling, clear boundaries. That combination will save you. Because the opposite of this energy is not kindness. It is chaos. Chaos eats money. Chaos eats time. Chaos eats health. Chaos eats attraction. Chaos eats peace. Chaos makes you available to everything and committed to nothing. Chaos has you saying yes when your future needs a no. Chaos has you folding under pressure and then calling yourself overwhelmed as if overwhelm came from nowhere. No. Most overwhelm is accumulated avoidance. Most panic is unpaid truth. Most self-loathing is the natural result of repeatedly watching yourself choose what weakens you. Harsh? Good. It should be. Not because you need abuse. Because you need clarity. Clarity says your life will not change because you want it badly. It will change because your systems become stronger than your excuses. Clarity says one disciplined month will teach you more than 100 motivational videos. Clarity says nobody can eat, move, sleep, heal, and choose for you. Clarity says the old identity does not die through inspiration. It dies through starvation. You stop feeding it. You stop defending it. You stop introducing yourself through it. There will be withdrawals. Of course there will. You are not just losing weight. You are losing rituals that once helped you cope. You are losing the fantasy that tomorrow will magically fix what today keeps reinforcing. You are losing the little seductions that helped you avoid grief, rage, emptiness, fear. So when you feel unstable, do not panic. That is not failure. That is exposure. That is the raw system learning to live without its favorite anesthetic. Stay there. Stay conscious. Stay honest. Let the discomfort teach you that it can be survived without obedience. And please understand this. Rebuilding your life is not linear because healing your identity is not linear. There will be days you feel powerful and days you feel primitive, days you feel locked in, and days the old self whispers with a familiar voice. Fine. Your job is not to become temptation-proof. Your job is to become truth-loyal. The question is not, will I ever struggle again? The question is, who leads when the struggle comes? When sharit bain, when achi, when sayin. Your craving or your character, your emotion or your standard, your loneliness or your mission, fantasy or reality. Pick reality. Reality is not sexy at first. It is repetitive. It is meals that look boring. It is training when nobody is filming. It is going home early. It is saying no for the 100th time. It is waking up before your excuses do. It is getting blood work. It is taking the walk. It is tracking the numbers. It is doing laundry. It is choosing friends who do not need you to stay broken so they can feel comfortable. It is cutting ties with environments that normalize your decay. It is becoming less entertaining to people who only liked you when you were easy to influence. Good. Let them complain. Let them call you obsessed because they cannot stand what your discipline exposes in their disorder. Let them say you've changed. You were supposed to. That is the point. The caterpillar is not meant to hold town hall meetings with the people who preferred it crawling. And when the results begin to show, handle them correctly. Do not become arrogant. Do not turn healing into superiority. Do not replace food obsession with body obsession and call it growth. The body is the vehicle, not the God. The stage is the symbol, not the soul. The real win is not that strangers see you differently. The real win is that you can look at yourself without flinching. You can trust your own word again. You can sit alone in a room and not feel the urge to escape yourself. That is wealth. That is freedom. That is power money cannot buy and compliments cannot create. You will notice strange things once you rebuild. Food gets quieter. Mirrors get less emotional. Decisions get cleaner. Sleep gets deeper. You laugh differently. You breathe differently. Your standards in love change. Your standards in friendship change. Your standards in work change. Why? Because once you stop living like a disposable person, you become allergic to disposable treatment. You no longer find inconsistency charming. You no longer mistake intensity for compatibility. You no longer confuse being wanted with being valued. You do not hand your rebuilt life to people, habits, or environments that drag you backward. That's the hidden gift of transformation. It trains discernment. Now let me go deeper, because some of you are still secretly waiting for permission to begin only after you feel ready. Listen to me carefully. Readiness is often a myth told by fear to delay exposure. You become ready by moving. You become ready by keeping one promise today, then another tomorrow, then another next week. Action does not follow confidence. Repeated action creates confidence. That's why the first days matter so much. Not because they're magical, but because they are proof. Proof that the old script can be interrupted. Proof that your body is not your prison. Proof that your mind is trainable. Proof that the story has not finished just because you acted like it had. So if you are at rock bottom, good. Build there. Foundations go at the bottom, not the top. Stop cursing the place that can finally hold your honesty. Stop worshiping the version of you that existed before life hurt you. You are not going back. You are going through grief, through discomfort, through the death of old habits, through the humiliation of starting over, through the boredom of consistency, through the silence that comes when your distractions are gone, through the days where nobody notices, through the temptation to quit because progress is slower than fantasy promised. Go through, because on the other side is not just a smaller body. It is a stronger self, a cleaner mind, a steadier gaze. A life that feels inhabited again. You stop floating above your own existence and start living inside it. You become present, and presence changes everything. Presence in the kitchen, presence in the gym, presence in conversations, presence in your standards, presence in your love, presence in your own skin. That is the opposite of the old life. The old life was silence. Silence in the places where you should have told the truth. Silence in the places where you should have said no. Silence in the places where your future was begging for leadership. The new life is presence, not perfection. Presence. You are there now. Awake now. Responsible now. Honest now. And that alone can begin to reverse years of damage. So, if you ask what it really took to lose 140 pounds and rebuild a life all the way to the bikini stage, here is the answer, stripped of all decoration. It took grief. It took discipline. It took embarrassment. It took repetition. It took refusing to romanticize weakness. It took learning that self-care is not always soft. Sometimes self-care looks like a hard no. Sometimes it looks like meal prep when you want chaos. Sometimes it looks like training when you feel ordinary. Sometimes it looks like going home alone instead of back to what degrades you. Sometimes it looks like sitting with pain long enough to hear what it is trying to teach you. And what pain often teaches is simple. You have been leaving yourself. Stop leaving. Come back to your body. Come back to your standards. Come back to your word. Come back to the future that still has your name on it. Come back to the part of you that knows this life is not meant to be lived half asleep. You are not too far gone. You are not disqualified by the years you wasted. You are not permanently defined by the body, habits, or identity you built in survival mode. You can rebuild. Slowly, then suddenly, quietly, then undeniably. But only if you stop asking whether change is possible and start acting like it is required. Because it is required. Your peace requires it. Your health requires it. Your future family requires it. Your calling requires it. Your dignity requires it. There is a version of you waiting on the other side of your consistency who will not even recognize the excuses you're entertaining right now. That version is not more lucky than you, not more special, not more chosen, just more aligned, more honest, more disciplined, more willing to endure the pain of transformation instead of the pain of staying the same. And if you feel something waking up in you right now, protect it. Do not leave this moment and run straight back into the habits that made you hate your reflection. Do something immediate. Drink the water. Throw out the trash food. Schedule the workout and write the plan. Tell the truth. Start tonight. Not because tonight will be perfect, but because tonight can be different. And different, repeated long enough, becomes destiny. You do not need another fantasy. You do not need another excuse. You do not need another identity built around damage. You need a line in the sand. You need a standard. You need a decision with teeth. Make it. And once you make it, honor it when nobody is watching, especially then. Because private obedience becomes public power. That is how a hidden war turns into visible victory. That is how rock bottom becomes foundation. That is how a life once ruled by avoidance becomes a life defined by purpose. That is how a body once carrying pain becomes a body carrying proof. You are not waiting for the answer. You are the answer. So stand up, clean it up, tighten the standard, tell the truth, take the walk, lift the weight. When not, prep the meal, feel the feeling, refuse the relapse. Why? Repeat the process. And when the old voice says, maybe this is just who you are, answer it like you mean it. No, that was who I became when I stopped leading myself. This is who I am now. If you want more truth like this, more clarity, more reminders that call you higher instead of soothing you lower, subscribe. Not for me. For the version of you that still needs the signal until discipline becomes identity. Stay close to people who respect growth, who respect standards, who respect the hard road. You are not alone in this, and you do not have to build in isolation, but you do have to build